moment Ukraine launches drone attack on Moscow. Ukraine attacks Moscow with a barrage of drones. Ukraine attacks Moscow with at least 34 drones is what we're given to understand. Major Kiev drone attack on Moscow thwarted. Ukraine's biggest attack on Moscow in recent times. Russian Defense Ministry said that an attempt by the Kiev regime to carry out a terrorist attack using an airplane-type drone on the territory of the Russian Federation has been thwarted. Let me go across to Gaurav, who's joining me for more on this. Gaurav, do we know what the target was? And is there anything you're picking up as far as a retaliation is concerned?
So, Harshad, this is one of the biggest ever drone strikes by Ukraine in Russia ever since the special operation started in February 2022. More than 70 drones were launched in the direction of Russia. About 34 were aimed in and around Moscow. They were neutralized in and around Moscow. Of the 70, about 30 others were neutralized around Belgorod and other parts of Russia. Now, if you look at this, the trajectory of the drones fired from the eastern flank of Ukraine, all aimed at various military and in Russia, as Russia says, some civilian installations also, civilian localities also in Russia. While Russia's anti-air defense system, the air defense system got activated and it neutralized the drones, but the debris fell on some residential areas. Some residential areas have caught fire. Some women and some children have been injured. In one instance, a woman was critically injured, has been hospitalized, but the assessment is still on. Russia would retaliate as it has in the past, because drone strikes have taken place even in the past, but not this intensity of over 70 drones being fired with more than 34 being neutralized in and around Moscow. So that just shows. You'd recall about a year ago in September, if I remember correctly, in September there were 2 drones that were neutralized very close to Kremlin. One, in fact, fell very close to Kremlin, the seat of power in Moscow. So Ukraine has the capability. It has been launching strikes, but those were 2s and 3s and 4s, but not 70 in one go, of which 30 plus were neutralized around Moscow. So the situation does remain very tense, and there is an apprehension it could see a major escalation in the days and weeks ahead.
Was there any sort of provocation this time, Gaurav, that we saw this barrage of drone attack?
There has been intensification of operations from the Russian side in the past 10-15 days. Russia has launched a series of missile strikes and drone strikes in and around Kiev, and Russian army is increasingly now moving forward. Since the special operation started in February 2024, there was, in some instances, something that offers stalemate, but clearly it wasn't a stalemate. It's a battle of attrition where Russia is actually tiring out Ukraine. It's a large number of Ukrainian soldiers have been killed, a very large number of their brigades, their special forces, their tanks, armored personnel carriers, ammunition, that's been destroyed, while Ukraine mounted a counterattack in the Kursk region, but Russia continues to push through along the eastern flank, and it's made rapid advances in the past 2 weeks. So while the world attention was focused on American elections, that's the time that Russia intensified its operations, and the Ukraine strike is being seen as a counter-offensive. But the apprehension is that Russia will only intensify its operations till a new administration takes over in the United States of America, which will happen in January. 20th of January is when President Trump will be sworn in. The inauguration will take place. So between November and January, there is an apprehension that there will be a massive escalation from the Russian side to consolidate on its gains.
Right, Gaurav. Thank you so much for sharing all those details with us.